Hey, hi, how are you? I still never know how to start these things. It's like still new to me, but we'll figure it out as we go. You ever feel just like restless? You ever feel like things are just a little bit too out of your control, whatever it might be? It's like I don't know how to describe it, but sometimes I just like to go with the flow, you know? Hmm. A lot's been on my mind, but at the same time, it's kind of not. It's like weird because as the night grows deeper and more dark, and just things start to just grow quiet, peaceful, and serene and stuff like that. It's like during the daytime and more everything's more active, but it's like at nighttime, it's the complete opposite. Now, I'm sorry that I'm stating the obvious, but still, it's a weird thing to look at once you really just like process it, you know? Like, oh, you do most of your things during the daytime, then during the nighttime, it's like, mm, I don't know if it's like the peak or like the something that's like primal. I didn't mean to say peak, but primal, to where it's like within us we try to do everything during the daytime, and then there's like, sorry about that yawn. Sorry if I made you yawn, but it's like at nighttime things turn completely opposite. You know, the weird love month is coming up because right now, as of this recording, is the 26th, which ironically means that right now is Sunday. I don't know if this is something, hey, a lot of y'all, whenever you're, this goes out mainly to my younger viewers, and this also goes out to viewers, this really goes out to everyone, but mainly the younger viewers. It's like, when you're younger, you're still really taking in and basking in everything, and it's like, it's weird, but at least for me, whenever I was younger, I felt more joyful. I felt more like everything had a certain type of magic, and then just over time, it just lost that said magic, you know? It made me sad once I really started to realize that um, people were getting older and no one's really paying attention to it, and I'm the only. I felt like I was the only person that saw it, and it would be rude for me to point it out and be like, "Oh shit, you're getting older," you know? Some people don't want to be reminded that they're getting older because it's like, hey, you're one step closer to death. That's how a lot of people look at it, you know? And it's a horrible thing to look at, too. But I don't like to look at it that way. I like to look at getting older as a sign of, like, hey, you've survived. Hey, you've happened to learn a lot more. Hey, you've accumulated this, that, and more. I don't like to look at being old as a negative per se, you know? There's a lot of good with bad because that's the thing. I don't want things to lose that magic, like that childlike wonder to it. The people that happen to be, older and stuff like that, here's what I'll roughly still say. We're all still kids in some way or another. Either some people have completely lost that magic, that complete artistic touch, and it's just like, yes, you've had to mature, you've had to really grow up, and here's the thing. I can definitely unleash that side of me if I want to, but it's like, it's crazy for me to say this because for a lot of older people, it's like, dude, you're a grown ass adult. I end up losing my fun with it. And I know doing adult things is not supposed to be fun. Well, some of it. For example, you basically look at like fucking drinking as like, well, it's adult punch or whatever the fuck you want to call it. It's just you get drunk off of it. A lot of the things we do is basically adult shit, but phrased. You can still kind of phrase it and be like, this is what a grown kid would do. Look, I'm still young, and I definitely plan on enjoying that. Even whenever I'm 30 or 40, I still plan on enjoying having like that childlike wonder with everything and just trying to genuinely have fun with everything because life is literally whatever you make it out to be. Now, another thing too is that I realize a lot of people keep asking me about YouTube, which is always odd to me because it's like I've done it. I've done it before. Whew, I'm kind of shaking just thinking about it. Lordy, let me share something with y'all. If we come over here and we look at how many channels on YouTube have 1,000 or more. Here's the thing. If we look at this as of February 2024, here's the explanation by Google Gemini, the people who own YouTube. Reaching 1,000 subscribers is a milestone that many creators don't have. If you think about it, let's look at how many people have YouTube. How many users does YouTube have? 2.5 billion users. 2.5 as of April 2024. And as of February 2024, there are 10 million YouTube channels with at least 1,000 subscribers. Now then, 90% of YouTube channels never get to 10,000 subscribers. That is, only 10 million people have at least 1,000 subscribers. Now, I'm going to talk about something a little bit later. It's going to contradict some stuff, but it also will make sense. Excuse me. Ooh, let's buckle up because we're about to do a lot of math, and hopefully it makes sense because I'm not going to lie, I'm fucking retarded at times. So, 1,000 subscribers with 10 million channels that only have that, if not more. And only 2 billion users. 2.5 billion users. Meaning, ooh-wee. Let's try to account that. What percentage of YouTube channels have? Less than 10% of YouTube channels have 1,000 subscribers. Less than 10%. Which means the majority of YouTube channels will not be able to touch that number. But let's not focus on that. My bad. I'm going to contradict myself a lot. It's just like, why would you bring it up then if you say let's not focus on it? Either we can look at the facts and all this other shit. I'm basically just trying to insinuate how rare it is for people to get to this thing. And yes, it's going to take a lot of work, and you're actually going to... Here's the best part about YouTube. Whatever you put into it is what you will get out of it. It won't be that way at first. The reason why it won't be that way at first, especially if you were to start up a channel, the algorithm, YouTube, all that other shit, is getting to learn about you. If you start up a new channel, is basically like, unless you have a, what is it? Unless you already have like a pre-established channel, like let's just say if I were to make like this channel right here and then just say, hey, I'm about to go make a new channel, y'all go follow and look at this. But if you make like a new channel from scratch and nobody knows about you, either you would have to trend surf, or if you want to be creative and do like your own stuff, YouTube pretty much, it will try to work its best in your benefit to help you grow. But it's like you have to start establishing and putting out like the work and the history, and it'll go like, ah, okay. It'll start subscribing people to you that like, I don't know, if you want to do video games, you can niche out. It's literally whatever you make out of it. It's only as complicated as you make it. And then also, if you want to be smart about this, help. I just realized, look, some of y'all may be here for that, some of y'all may not be. If you want me to make a video on the stuff about YouTube that I know, let me know, and I will make an entire video about it. Because for now, we're just talking about deep thoughts, you know? Basically, like, no matter what you do, there's always going to be just it's kind of hard for me to say because it's like I'm still going through it. Like, for example, I want to be the reason why I wanted to be a creative or a YouTuber, Twitch streamer, whatever the hell you want to call it, is because I've been doing this type of stuff since 2013. That was when I was 10 years old. And now 12 years later, you would think that I would get somewhere a lot further with it. But I'm going to be honest with you, I was scared. Anytime someone would find out my stuff, I was afraid of criticism. I was afraid of people knowing that were dear to me. I was afraid of a lot of things. And every time I really did get somewhere with it, I would delete it. But because of that, I learned pretty much a lot of knowledge on how to get back on course with it and stuff like that. And it's just, you learn who supports you, who doesn't. Within reason, of course. Some people genuinely do want the best for you, but they see what you're doing, and it's just like, it's such an unknown thing. It's like, it's not really smart to like do the unknown thing. A lot of smart people are smart because of that. Why would you do something that is unknown, not tried, true, and tested, versus something that is tried, true, and tested? It's basically like taking a risk, but why would you do that? I just don't want to end up doing something that I would not find myself comfortable with, because it's like, I've seen a lot of people work their dream jobs, do whatever it is that they want to do, like especially in like corporate America, or like 9 to 5 wise. I hate that we coined it 9 to 5. We always used to call it blue collar work, but or shit, even white collar work too. Like, everybody wants to be the boss, but it's just like, when you're the boss, whew, ooh, it is some hard stuff, believe it or not. Now, sure, there are some incompetent people, but yeah. It's just, I see some people to where it's just like, they will work 20 years at a job, and it's just like maybe their job is moving somewhere else, and it's just like, I'm gonna be personal and just throw this out there. Someone who was very, very dear to me, they worked for a company for 20 years, right? And pretty much that job, that where they're working is like, they're pretty much moving the entire job facility and stuff like that. And she wanted to basically like go, but it's out of her range and stuff like that. So what they're doing is they're giving her a severance package And I think it's for like a year. I don't know the details of it too much, but it's just like imagine you dedicate 20 years of your life and it's just like you can't be able to move out there, or you can't be able to work something remote or whatever. And it's just like you spent 20 years with that job, and sure, you can go and get another job somewhere similar because you put in 20 years into a singular job. Like that right there in itself is an accomplishment. But the job market nowadays is just, it would basically be like you're starting over all all again, and it's just, I've worked so many jobs. Y'all wouldn't even believe it. I used to be ashamed of it because people tried telling me something that it was something to be ashamed of, but I always felt like it wasn't something to be ashamed of. You end up really knowing what your worth is because I'm not gonna say all the jobs I worked, but the ones that I stayed with for the longest. I stayed with a grocery store for a year. It was a little bit back and forth because my mom was extremely sick around that time and she was more of a priority than anything else. I worked as a machinist for borderline a year, and sure, I made some really good money, but I couldn't see myself doing that long term without. Because when I was a kid, I wanted to be a machinist because I always saw my grandpa building stuff, but then working a job, and it's like, that's my fault because I realized, I thought I was so naive with it, right? I thought I could come in and basically do the same stuff as my grandpa, but I had to work up my way to it, and I wasn't willing to wait for that. But the environment, everything else, it was cool. It was cool at first, but doing that manual stuff, that manual labor, and a lot of y'all don't notice, I had to basically break my body down a whole lot growing up because my mom, she was crippled, and I had to lift way too much heavy shit. And I've always done a lot of manual labor jobs too. Because before I worked as a machinist, right? I worked as a logistics specialist for a year and a half for a company. And I'm not gonna lie, they made me do a lot of stuff that wasn't in the job description. And after 6 months from it, look, after a year, I was supposed to be evaluated, but after about 6 months, they didn't want to do the evaluation where I would have gotten my raise. And I was just like, hey, either I get my raise or I'm gone. And well, I didn't get that raise. But at that job, I basically worked for a cancer facility, and I had to lift anywhere between 500 pounds a week to 5,000 pounds a week, along with some other strenuous and annoying activities. It sucked whenever I left because everyone was just like, hey, we're really, really depending on you. And I'm like, yeah, but it's just like, I don't feel like I'm being treated right? And so I had left. And after the machinist job, then started the 2 year fold of working numerous jobs. But we won't talk about that. That's something we just won't talk about. Because my ex was around for that, and well, remembering that is something I do not want right now. It's weird. It's like, I know she's forgotten about me, or maybe she has. I don't know. But it's like, she was the longest relationship I had, and in some ways, I can't forget her in some ways. I feel like I've ruined some things for her, and she ruined some things for me, but we'll be relatively okay. Who knows if we do connect in the future or whatever, there's going to be a lot of talking involved, but Jesus. Enough about that. Especially with chasing your dreams, especially with chasing and doing the things that you want to do, You have to be reasonable. You have to start approaching things differently, especially if they don't work out. And don't be afraid to fail, because the thing is, a lot of people are afraid to fail. Failing basically means, oh, you failed. They don't want to look at failure as anything else, because you're letting your life being dictated by a lot of people who they won't take risks, they won't do crazy shit, they won't do the things that they really want to do. They pretty much let life take them instead of you taking life. And sure, it might take you a while, it's like basically what I'm doing is essentially gambling. You keep rolling, you keep doing this, that, and the third until you hit something. Because everyone at the end of the day is faking it till they make it. And I do in some regards, but not too much. It's a lot for me to admit these things, because it's like I used to be afraid of all the criticism and all this other shit, but then you realize that you are who you are and you will build upon that in all the best ways and shit, even in some of the worst ways. It's up to you to identify that, especially if someone says something about you that's really not even true or you at all. You can easily just brush it off. Like if someone says you suck at something, you can easily sit there and go like, hey, why do I suck? And if they can't tell you why, that's just criticism, but it's not constructive criticism. Oh no, I'm always the person that where it's just like I always like to ask why a lot. And it annoys some people. Fucking hell. I know it annoys Jesus. I know it annoys some people, and I kind of stay away from the people that I do annoy with, because it's just like you don't ever ask a question. It's just like, no, that's just how it is. It's like, okay, cool. Another thing that has also horrified me slightly is like, what if you do end up becoming famous, becoming a micro celebrity? Like, I don't know, I've always studied this shit, because it's like earlier today while I was streaming, right? I swore I heard my gate open, and I'm the guy that does horror stories. I love horror. And for that shit to happen, now sure, I had sensors, sure, I had cameras, I had everything that can make you safe and identify somebody if they're there and alert you. I'm thinking to myself, like, what if you do make it big one day and then somebody is crazy enough to, like, actually visit you type shit. And they're not gonna stop at nothing to be like, hi, invade your personal space, all the other shit. And I'm like, I'm sorry, I do not know you. And my friends are like, get a restraining order. A piece of paper ain't gonna do shit. It will if they're reasonable, but we're talking about people who are unreasonable. They said, shoot them, blick them. I don't want to go through with murder. I'll incapacitate you at most. The only way I will put a permanent stop to you is if you were trying to put a permanent stop to me. And it's very easy to identify that. But enough about that. I have too much personal history with violence, so yay. Yay. Life is literally what you make out of it. It may not be that way all the time to where you get what you want, but you keep creating your own chances. You basically create your own lottery ticket, and you keep scratching, you keep doing all that you can until you get somewhere with it, and you turn that something into something else, and you build. You build, you build, and you build. Now sure, sometimes you will get exhausted. You will burn out. That is okay. That allows you to look at the things that you enjoy, take a break because you do deserve and you need that as well. And then, I used to be a workaholic. Actually, in some ways, I still am, but shit. All I really want is just to, like I said, I'm just so afraid of, like, if things blow up or if it becomes viral or something like that. It's like, I know I wouldn't be, what is it? I know I'm not, like, in a position to where I am at that, but just thinking about that is a little bit weird to me, you know? Because how do you handle stuff like that? And there's a lot of other people that, are famous and are able to do that, but it's just like, we've all thought about it one time, you know? How would you personally be able to deal with that? Because some people turn full on crazy, some people turn full on, like, their true colors and shit start flying. It's like, with me, whenever I did have that shit ton of money, I was just more, like, recluse than laid back. Like, I could actually fucking breathe. I'm not gonna lie, I actually did spend a lot of that money too on traveling as well. Right now, let's look at some deep thoughts from Reddit. That whenever I said, like, that money bit, that was like a follow up from the other video, so ooh-wee. This person says, being agreeable is to be part of society. Being disagreeable is what it means to be a real human. Uh, it's like you don't want to, like, trigger, you don't want to upset somebody by saying I disagree and then following up as to why. It's just like, when you do disagree with some people, especially people that are younger, it's like, no, you're supposed to agree no matter what. Why would you disagree with this? It basically fucks with my entire worldview. And it's like, it is okay to disagree on some things. I am my own person. Even opposites still click with each other. But people fail to forget that, and they live in echo chambers, and they really never break out of that. I like to challenge myself, and if I know that I'm still, like, stuck in some area, or I'm not really getting anywhere, I like to problem solve. Ooh, boy, what was it? The red pill, for example. I'm sorry if any younger viewers or any people my age end up looking that up. Heed this as a warning. Genuinely. Genuinely heed this as a warning. If I say do not do something, I absolutely mean do not fucking do it. And I'm the guy that does fucking everything. That red pill shit. If you want to go ahead and look that up and... Fuck. I've already opened up Pandora's box. Basically, it made me see women, life, and all of that in a different perspective, but the way how it was used with me was, it was negative. And that shit is an echo chamber. My bad, I yawned. That shit is an echo chamber. When I realized that that was an echo chamber, and the quote-unquote masculine guys, if you disagreed with them, instead of them having an actual conversation about it, they would, not all of them, some of them would spaz the fuck out, some of them would just insult you. Like, a lot of the stuff that they told you to do, they would go and, I mean, a lot of stuff that they told you not to do, they would go and do it themselves, so... And, well, a lot of them have been exposed lately to be frauds and some other shit, so... Yay. It makes me excited to talk about. the red pill shit, but not today. All right. The rate of what the fuck? This person says we are all complicit. The entire culture is complicit. As history shows, time and time again, when cults of personalities take hold, musicians, actors, academics, business leaders, politicians, influencers. What does it mean to be a fan or a supporter of these individuals? We know the answer. It means to see these individuals narrowly. A fan is not critically minded. A fan sees little to no wrong in their infatuation. This means some of y'all. We leave ourselves vulnerable to insidious influence in all categories of life, not just politics. But there's a big difference between. Just stop. There isn't. We are all complicit. We are not better than they are. Oh, that was confusing. A lot of people say those who fail history class are doomed to repeat it. A lot of people don't want to suffer in isolation if you think about it. I'm going to be honest, I don't want to suffer in isolation, but the thought of someone out there listening and heeding and just being here, just listening to this, and even having a conversation or so puts my mind at ease. Let me be real with y'all. The other reason I started this channel as a whole is basically to allow people to start thinking on their own, start challenging, start to help you develop kind of into your own person or just to enjoy things. And it's basically half I want you to be your own person because it's just like what happened with me. Sure, it's tragic, but hopefully I can help other people avoid that later on along the line. And just, hey, this is like a place to where you can just come, laugh, enjoy yourself, and really be yourself. And also enjoy some of the things that I do. And time to time, enjoy some of the things that y'all would like to do collectively, if I agree to it. And thankfully, majority of the time I do. Mainly for profit, and because it's actually genuinely interesting to see what some of y'all think about. Look, I'm gonna be honest with y'all. Eventually, I would end up getting paid from this stuff, and it's going to give me a further incentive with it. I know you're not supposed to say that, but come on. You see a lot of like these other bigger YouTubers that y'all look at and etc. And it's just like, I know it's an unwritten thing, but someone has to point it out eventually. Man, it feels weird to say that. Let's look at a little bit more of some deep thoughts. I won't go too much into this, but think about this. What is left out is more important than what is said. Human brains are unable to understand exponentials. Ah. Well, that's enough of those deep thoughts. Because those are all the new ones. Let's just breathe in and breathing out. Unfortunately, we're going to have to end things here because guess what? Following up, we're going to be doing horror tales. And boy, oh boy, do I have some things that absolutely, absolutely just make me feel great. Not great, it's a fucking horror tale. We're trying to scare your ass. We're trying to scare you.